As you bring yourself onto your mat facing the wall, so you have the short end of your mat facing the wall, bring yourself a distance facing the wall where you can have your fingertips about shoulder level, where your shoulders are relaxed on your back, and then check to see that you're not leaning into your hands. So adjust as you need to. Find where you're a good distance from the wall, that you have the support for your balance, but you're not leaning into the wall. So it's a light touch with your fingertips. And then double check your feet, that they're parallel to each other, about a fist width apart, so your mountain stance. So once you get your feet established, we're going to move into a really simple movement that energizes the backs of the legs and brings some energy into the whole body. So lift your heels up, come up above the balls of your feet. Inhale as you come up, and exhale as you bring your heels back down. And after a few of these, as you get the breath and your body warming, check that your heels are coming down behind the middle of your toes. So you continue to have your feet parallel to each other instead of in a V. Once you get your feet established, your distance from the wall, then do another 25 lifts and lowers. So you inhale up, exhale down. Complete breath in, complete breath out. Feel that you're bringing weight onto the little toe side of your foot, so you're not putting all the weight in the big toe. And get a sense of lifting all the way up through your body. As you start to find more heat in your calves, deepen your breathing. Keep your jaw and shoulders relaxed. When you get to your last lift, hold the lift, but don't hold your breath. Breathe long and deep. Think of the breath moving all the way down into your feet and your legs. With your next exhale, release your heels back down and bring your palms to the wall as you step your feet back away from the wall. And the distance that you'll need here may take a little while to find. We're moving into wall plank. So this is like plank or push-up position, but with the wall, so you don't have to hold your whole body weight up, and you can find some of the precision of plank pose here. So you're keeping your feet parallel to each other, about a fist width apart, and then finding where your body is one long line, like a plank of wood. If you found that your hands are up too high, your shoulders are creeping up, bring them a little bit lower. If you tend to feel your wrists, then stretch through the base of your fingers before you plant your palms down. And think of pushing the wall away instead of sinking into your hands, just like you do when you're on the ground. Feel that your shoulder blades are broad onto your back and that your low back is long. So take your low belly, draw it in and up, and aim your tailbone towards your heels. What you'll find here as you get into position is a stretch through your calves that you've just strengthened with those heel lifts. What often happens here is that inner arches and ankles tend to collapse down, especially if you have low arches. So think of rolling your inner arches over a little log, pressing the outer edges of your feet down. So you keep that inner arch lift, and notice if that changes any stretch in the backs of your legs. See if you can get a sense of your body once more of being one long line from your head, through your spine, right down to your heels. So notice if your butt is sticking out and back, or if your shoulders are rounded, or if you've gone in the other direction and have sunk your pelvis forward. Give this another breath or so, and focusing your attention on stretching through the muscles you just engaged, through your lower legs. This next time that you exhale, step your right foot forward, and you may end up with your toes right at the wall. How you'll know where your feet need to be is that when you bend your right knee, it'll be right over your ankle, and you'll be able to see your big toe inside your kneecap when you look down. And at the same time, you'll find a deeper stretch through that left calf than what you just had in wall plank. So you may need to take a little bit more space between your feet, front to back, keeping that hip distance side to side so that you're not on a tightrope. If you step your left foot farther back, then you might find you're on your fingertips instead of your palms. That left foot, you'll find the inner arch wants to drop down, so press the outer edge of your foot down into the ground. And to help square your hips, draw your low belly in and up and think of your front hip bones like headlights facing the wall instead of the left side of your mat. So you may find that in order to get some space in your low back, you need to bend your left knee a little bit more. Adjust your legs so that you don't strain your low back, and then find your depth, keeping your low back long. If you want to play with balance, with moving into a fuller version of this wall warrior, you can take your arms up overhead, but be sure that you keep your low back long, low ribs tucked in, and your shoulders from creeping up around your neck. If you take your arms up overhead, lengthen through your elbows, spread your fingers out, let the energy extend up from your feet, through your spine, to your fingers. One more inhale wherever you are. And as you exhale, bring your fingertips back to the wall and take your weight into your left foot as you swing your right leg back behind you in space. We're playing here with Warrior 3 using the wall for support. This is a little bit of fun. So feel free to adjust if you need to so that you can both touch the wall with your fingertips and feel your weight is in your left foot. Draw up through your left kneecap. So a good way to find that is by anchoring down through your left heel and then reach back through the ball of your right foot, squaring that front right hip to face the floor so you're not opening the face off the right side of the mat, and starting to open your upper body towards the ground as well, letting your underarms open without your shoulders creeping up. Give it one more breath to play, and as you exhale, step your right foot forward. So now what you're doing when you step that right foot back onto the mat, you're finding where both heels are on the same line. Your back toes, your left toes, are slightly angled out from that line towards the left side of the mat, and your right toes are facing straight ahead. So look at your feet, see if you can get your right foot and your back heel on the same line. You have the wall for balance, so you can work with this tightrope. The distance between your feet is 2 or 3 feet. Once you find where your feet are set and your palms or your fingertips are on the wall again, begin to square your hips. Take your left hip forward, your right hip back, and right away you'll start to feel both legs coming into a deeper stretch. Be mindful here of not locking your knees. So draw your kneecaps up. The more you lift up through your quadriceps, engage your quadriceps, the more you'll find a stretch through your hamstrings. Once you find that, see if you want to bring your torso a little more parallel to the floor. That's going to change your stretch as well. So instead of compromising by rounding your low back, keep your tailbone lifted, your low back long. And if you need to, you can have your upper body higher up the wall. So adjust to where you're getting a stretch through the legs that's breathable, and your shoulders are also breathable here. Think of pushing the wall away, drawing your hips back away from the wall. Feeling that inner left arch, seeing your right knee aligned over your right toes. One more breath. And then as you exhale, bend your knees, step your right foot back, find where your feet are parallel again, and once more you may have to play with the distance of your feet to the wall, that you can have your hands on the wall. And you can also have your feet underneath your hips. So we're doing wall dog here. Just like we do on the mat, you're going to modify this by bending the knees. As you bend your knees, look to see that you can see your big toes inside your kneecaps and that your feet are parallel to each other underneath your front hips. As you keep your knees bent, tilt your tailbone up. Think of your sits bones like eyes, the eyes of your butt cheeks, and they're looking into the middle of the room instead of down at the ground. So find that tilt of your pelvis with your knees bent And then, if you want to take it deeper, start to press your heels into the ground to lengthen your legs. And notice right away how your low back wants to round, just like in the floor version of down dog. Keeping your tail tilted up, your low back in its lordosis. And again, your upper body can be higher, or you can have your hands and your shoulders level with your hips. See what's going to work for your shoulders. Notice as you breathe into this, how much tension, just like in floor down dog, wants to creep into the neck and shoulders. Think of being a turtle, of taking the top of your head towards the wall between your hands. So you feel your shoulder blades reconnect to your back, and you feel the space around your neck. This next exhale, round your back and roll into wall plank. So as you emerge upright, you'll need to bring your hands up higher and take a little stretch through your fingers before you replant your palms. Your feet should be okay where they are, but feel free to adjust if you need to. And then move from that right angle you had in wall dog to the long line that you had earlier in wall plank. So draw your low belly in and up and aim your tailbone towards your heels. Notice your inner arches, inner ankles, have they dropped down? Press the outer edges of your feet down. Shoulder blades on your back. You're making a long line from head to heels. Next exhale, we're going to do that same series on the other side, on the left side. So step your left foot towards the wall and find your distance. You might start first just with a deeper stretch in your right calf, keeping your right foot where it is. Bend your left knee, open it a little bit to the left so you can see your big toe inside your kneecap and feel that inner arch lift. And feel that you can square your hips towards the wall. So you're bringing your right hip forward. Breathe into that right calf. It should feel a little more intense than when you're in plank. Then as you exhale, step your right foot farther back so that we can take a deeper stance in this wall warrior. Keeping your feet hip width apart so that you have good balance. And then once more, find where you can square your hips and you can create space in your low back. So you're not folding your front hips into your left thigh. So that might mean you have a little bend in your right knee or less of a bend in your left knee. When you take that wider stance front to back with your feet, you may be on your fingertips. Feel free to keep your fingertips on the wall, or if you want to go into the fuller version, take your arms up overhead. Notice when you do that and you move into any tightness that you might have in your shoulders, how the low ribs want to stick out and you end up breaking through the low back. So keep core muscles strong. And as you take your arms up, slide your shoulders down. See if you can imagine breathing from your feet all the way up your body into your fingertips. Next time you exhale, bring your fingertips back to the wall. Swoop your left leg up and back, bringing your weight into your right foot. And if you're too far from the wall, change the stance so that you can anchor into your right heel. Coming into our wall version of Warrior 3, keep your left front hip squared towards the floor, so your little toe is looking at the floor. Lengthen back through that left leg, energize through the ball of your foot, and see how much it works for your shoulders to open down towards the ground, keeping your spacious neck, shoulders on your back. And playing with how much weight do you have in your hands? Can you balance a little bit more into the lift and strength of the right leg? And rely less on the wall. Next exhale, bring your left foot forward again, and we're moving into this wall version of Parsvottanasana, intense side stretch, where you have your feet lined up on an imaginary line. So left foot parallel to the side edges of the mat, and the right foot at a slight angle with your heel in line with your left foot. And then within this tighter stance, start to square your hips, right hip forward, drawing your left hip back, but also your left thigh muscle up and back. So not locking either knee. Be really mindful of your knees here. And then seeing when you have your legs and the breath supporting the stretches in the legs, whether or not you want to start bringing your torso lower, or if you need to be higher with your hands, shoulders on your back. If this is your first time with these practices, take your time to find out where your feet need to be. What's your distance from the wall that works for you? Next, exhale. Transition back into wall dog. So step your left foot back, find your distance from the wall, feet parallel to each other. Bend your knees, modify your wall dog, tilt your tail up, those eyes of your sits bones tilting up towards the sky. And then see if you can keep that and edge a little bit more length into your legs. Don't go straight into long legs. And if you're more flexible, be really mindful again of not locking your knees. So you may even have to keep them slightly soft. If you can, in this version, try taking your hands up higher and sinking down through your underarms to open your shoulders. But if you have any shoulder issues, be mindful of how they feel and whether or not you can breathe into them. So feel for how much length you can take in your legs, how much stretch you can take in your shoulders, and give that one more big conscious breath. Use your next inhale to uncurl into wall plank one last time, seeing how it feels. Maybe a little bit more familiar here with keeping inner arches lifted, with lengthening low back. And with your next exhale, step towards the wall. Namaste.